Hello and welcome to episode 15 of The List Makers for a big topic today. I'm Dave.
And I'm Rob.
And this is a mini podcast from the Doctor Who show where, look, as you probably know by now, we take a top 5 topic, we create our lists, we discuss them. No hard and fast rules, all about the chat. And the topic, Rob, today, our big topic is top 5 classic Doctor Who stories.
Does it get any bigger than this, Dave?
I guess maybe top 5 Doctor Who stories of all time, maybe.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That would be even tougher, but no, we have got top 5 classic Doctor Who stories. And Rob, it is your unenviable task to create your list first this week.
Oh my gosh, is it? Okay. I've got my notes here, Dave. Let's go.
Let's go.
In at number 5, I'm going with Spearhead from Space. Just a glorious story from start to finish. Being shot on film, I think, gives it that wonderful TV movie kind of feel. And being the first colour story always has a sort of a magical appeal to me as well. So many things just work from the start. But I guess it's because they've been trying all these things, you know, being back on Earth, UNIT, and so on, throughout the Troughton era. And all of a sudden it comes together with this new alien menace, a new man in the role. Geez, it's hard to fault. I love it. In at number 4, City of Death. One of the things that really drags down a lot of classic Who is the look of the stories, I think. When you get something filmed on location, it can really lift a piece. I think of something like The Androids of Tara, which isn't a particularly amazing story, but I find it super enjoyable to watch because of the location filming and the way it feels 100 times more real than many of the other stories around it in that era. You know, no matter how good the script, if you've got Tom Baker in a dodgy BBC set, it never looks as good. So City of Death being both an interesting idea and a well-written story, and having the leads running around Paris, it's like a bam bam, you know, a double punch, a winner on both counts, Dave. An absolute no-brainer to show non-fans who want to experience a one-off 70s story. Number 3, The Seeds of Doom. I find it really hard to include this in some ways as it's another Tom in the listing, and it seems utterly wrong that I've not put in a Hartnell or a Troughton into the list here. But this story is, I think, gosh, I don't even know the right word. It's certainly grotesque in places. It's scary. It feels like you imagine all 1970s television was. And certainly there's this feeling that it's the more adult side of Doctor Who. And isn't it crazy that this was a kids show, you know, rating its ass off? I think over 10 or 11 million people were watching the episodes in this sort of period, or for this story particularly. That's just crazy.
Including young kids.
Including young kids! So it feels like an important story to have here, even though I may love Pyramids or Wang Chiang or Fang Rock or whatever, also from Tom's era. This feels maybe a bit more epic, perhaps? I don't know. In at number 2, Remembrance of the Daleks. I go on about this story a lot, so I promise not to do so here. In part, this is due to when I saw it. I really came into fandom around the time of season 23, which was such a misfire. Then we had the trauma of losing Colin, and the New Boys' first season wasn't so great. Then we got to season 25, and it's like, what happened? Seriously, did the production office stop taking silly pills? You know, what has happened? This is 5 times better than the stories from the previous year. How? Actually, I don't care how. Number 1.
Number 1.
Number 1. People are going to get this. Caves of Androzani. People are going to roll their eyes at this, Dave, either because they know I love Davo and they think I'm one-eyed on the topic, or they reckon the story is overrated or whatever, but this is my genuine point of view. I know, well, I think so many things come together here. The Doctor and Perry are working so well together. The Davo Doctor finally hits his stride in his final story. Sharaz Jack is the nutcase we all needed to have. The shady dealings between Androzani Major and Minor feel quite realistic. John Normington is amazing. There's real peril going on. I've said before how I like the Doctor's clothes getting all messed up, like he's actually in a real environment and not just walking pristine through an adventure. It just feels so good to me, so right. And again, there might be eye rolls out there as I say all this. There may be people saying that's not what Doctor Who should be. I get all of that, and I don't care. This is my number 1. It's fantastic.
Wow, that's quite a list.
I'm fired up, Dave.
You are fired up. This is good. How many snaps do you reckon I've got with you?
2.
2. Okay, well, we'll find out.
Okay.
So, my list. starts with a snap, so there's at least one.
Yes.
Number 5, I have also got The City of Death for all the reasons that you noted about the production, about Paris, about the location filming. But beyond all that, it is just such a wonderful, witty script. It is a witty script. It's not a comedy in that everybody's going around and just doing it for the laughs. It's a witty script in that it is a serious piece of drama that is done in a witty and clever way. Mm-hmm. It's obviously written by Douglas Adams. That's a big deal. The cast is absolutely superb. Almost every one of them is a recognisable name actor who's gone on and known for bigger things. But you feel as though everybody in the production has seen how good this is going to be and all taken it to the next level. The music, the model work, the special effects, the costuming, it all just comes together. And look, I have to quote that line from the Discontinuity Guide. Just when you think it can't get any better, John Bloody Cleese turns up.
Exactly.
My number 4 is The Dalek Invasion of Earth.
Oh, yeah.
I think this is as good as the Hartnell era gets. I think it's as good as the Daleks get. I think when you look at what the show was doing at this point, it is absolutely confident and in charge, and it's daring to do things. The location filming, again, as you mentioned with City of Death, the location filming here around London is just extraordinarily good and really makes this feel like an epic sort of story. The Daleks are never more evil, wicked, nasty, and successful as they are here. They have actually invaded the Earth successfully, and that gives their credibility a lot. And I think you've got a really strong TARDIS team that just works in a really epic adventure. This is amazing 60s television. Mm-hmm. Number 3, a beautiful in some ways story, and another one that's just so well written, and another Tom to add to the list.
Yeah.
That is The Robots of Death.
Oh, yeah. Great.
I sometimes sort of say to myself, does this deserve to be as high on the list as it is? Because it doesn't seem to quite have the epicness of an Androzani or something like that. Mm. But there's nothing here that I think isn't perfectly done, and nothing here that I wouldn't change. The script is, again, clever, intelligent. The characters are real characters. The world building here is perhaps as good as world building in Doctor Who gets. The way that the director has just gone full blow with the Art Deco surroundings and the costuming and everything. It just looks gorgeous without being expensive. And again, I just wouldn't change anything. This is an incredibly watchable piece of Doctor Who. Mm-hmm. Number 2, The Seeds of Doom.
Hey, we got 2!
We got 2. And look, I think that this is just an extraordinary piece of Doctor Who. You're right in that it's a very unusual piece of Doctor Who, but so is Caves of Androzani. In some ways, so is City of Death. Yes. They are standout stories because they are pushing the format out there. And this is, again, just beautifully made. The casting is exquisitely good. The characters are good. The location filming is effective. The music by Jeffrey Bergen is really effective. The Doctor is desperate. The Doctor is still funny. It's just a really dramatic thing. And those final shots of the crinoid over the house are spectacular. Mm-hmm. And it's also got in it the scene that most terrified me as a child, which is the scene of the man turning into the crinoid. I think that's as terrifying as Doctor Who ever got. So it's an amazing story with Tom and Liz Sladen in good form. Look, the final one, again, listeners could have guessed yours. They can probably guess mine. And that is, of course, Doctor Who and the Silurians. Yeah. This is 7 parts of absolute awesomeness. It is one of the most intelligent scripts that the show ever does. It doesn't flag over the course of its 7 episodes. You've got monsters, but monsters in that Malcolm Hulk style with character and understandable motivations and sympathy for them. You've got the Brigadier really just so strong and already forming that sort of that really top friendly but competitive relationship between the Doctor and the Brigadier that's so effective. Paul Darrow turns up. Again, you've got serious location footage being used in a proper way. It feels as though you're in big, empty moorland, because, of course, you are. And then, just when you think it can't get any better, you get that whole B-plot of the virus. I mean, how relevant is that to us these days? But those shots, again, of Waterloo Station as people are falling down, Doctor Who doesn't get any more terrifying and dramatic and real than all of that. Great cliffhangers, Pertwee in great form. I think that this is, as I say, as well made and intelligent a story as we had. So, Rob, we promised we were not going to have any more than 5 on our list this time, because I think once you go to 6, you kind of feel as though you can go to 10 or 20, and it's very easy to do. A couple of stories that I sort of struggled to not get in here. I would have liked to have an historical, probably Marco Polo, maybe the Aztecs in there. I was very close to putting Remembrance in there, like you. Survival, I think, is also really good. If I hadn't had Silurians, I would have had Inferno. If I hadn't had Seeds of Doom, I would have had Pyramids of Mars.
Yep.
You know, there are lots of stories that sort of could go in there, but I think they feel they're represented by others. What did you struggle to not get in?
Oh, Dave, there were so many. I didn't even note them down, but, you know, it's all the usual suspects. I mean, Dalek Invasion of Earth, which you had, I have previously waxed lyrical about. There are several Troughton stories I'm very fond of. I could have thrown The Invasion in there pretty easily. You know, when we're into Pertwee, season 7 is amazing, and I did have a season 7 story in there, but gosh, I could have had more if I didn't have Spearhead, or maybe if I did have Spearhead. Tom, I threw 2 Toms in. Davo, I had a Davo. Sylve, I had a Sylve. Colin was probably the more problematic one. I think there's probably only 2 good stories in his first season, and then Trial is a bit ropey. So yeah, they were my basic thoughts on that. I wanted to pick up on, you know, I mentioned City of Death being good because of the location stuff, and you agree. But then one of your choices, Robots of Death, is like a studio-based thing. But I think that's a very clever thing, because it's meant to be all enclosed in this space that they can't go outside of, because outside is so hostile. You know, the environment is so hostile. They can't go out, so they've got to be indoors. So you accept that it makes sense. You know what I mean? You
do, and it also adds to the claustrophobia of the story, and that you know, base under siege, trapped in a small confined space part of the story. Although we should note the model work with the Sand Miner is really good.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, they say, okay, if human beings are trapped inside an environment for a prolonged period of time, how would they make that environment look? And they would put out couches. They'd have pretty walls. They'll have nice designs. They'll have nice, good-looking robots. They'll, you know, have fancy clothes, things to sort of alleviate the drudgery of what they're doing. And so I think you're right. It does all pull together and work really well. But it is a thing in common. You go through most of our 8 picks, and they are almost all recognised for strong location footage.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at Remembrance. That certainly is. Caves has studio stuff, of course, but that's representing caves. When they're outside the caves and running up and down those sand hills and, you know, people shooting machine guns at Davo, that's all outside. That looks great.
Yeah, and even though it's just another sand quarry, it's directed in such a way by Harper that it feels like a big sand quarry. You know, it feels like a planet, and you actually do feel as though you're moving from dune to dune and place to place, and so that's really effective. But look, Rob, you did pull up there just on Doctors. Again, across the 8 picks, 5 of them in the 70s. 3 Toms and 2 Johns.
I don't think that's any accident, to be honest.
No. Look, I think that, I mean, these are eras of the show that are well regarded for the collaboration of producer, script editor, and lead actor. And indeed lead actresses as well. I mean, you think about how many of these stories have got Sarah Jane in them, for example. How many have got other strong companions, which says a lot. We got a Hartnell in there. As I said, I could have had another very easily. I'm disappointed we got no Troughtons between us. And I think, had we known we were going to have 2 snaps, and so we were only having 8 picks between us, I would have then thrown in a Tomb or an Evil. You would have thrown in an Invasion. And I think we would have got there. McCoy, we've got one in there. I could easily have had Survival. I'm with you on the Collins. I hate to say it, but there just isn't a Colin that is top 5 worthy in my view. I think Varus is good. I think he is good in Vervoids, but it's not an awesome story. You said
it's good within the season, but it's not good overall, maybe.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I think the 6th Doctor is at his best as a character in Vervoids.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's probably the best story of Trial. Is it as good as, you know, Remembrance of the Daleks or Caves of Anxosani? Sorry, it's not. It's not. Any thoughts that come to your mind about the whole list?
Oh gosh, I'm just looking at my picks here and then yours, the ones you had that I didn't. Dalek Invasion of Earth, Robots of Death, Silurians. It was a real toss-up, I guess, to have another John in there or another Tom, because I keep coming back to what you said a moment ago about the 70s. It really is the great era of the show. And like I said about Seeds of Doom, 10 or 11 million people were watching that story. Yeah. You know, when I looked it up and reminded myself, I was like, yeah, the ratings were just through the roof for this period. So I'm not really surprised by where we've gone. The Pat thing is a bit problematic because he is so good.
And it's not like we don't love some classic Pat stories. I mean, we've named,
God, no.
You know, Evil, Power, Tomb, Invasion, Web of Fear. Like, you know, you can name a war game. You can just keep naming really good Pats, and it's just a shame that we didn't get one in there. One thing that I've just noticed looking at our list of 8, there's a lot of very, what some might call dark, others might call slightly more horrific stories in there, maybe a bit more adult. Like Spearhead from Space, you get people brutally slaughtered by Autons and Autons killing civilians in London. Silurians, you have, you know, half of London down with a plague and some brutal deaths. Seeds of Doom's about as violent as it gets, and probably as violent as the Doctor gets. The Doctor's going around waving guns and punching people, and people get mulched. You know? Yep. Dalek Invasion of Earth is just horrible in some ways. Even Remembrance has got a pretty high body count and some nasty deaths. Androzani, that's as bleak as Davo gets. Is this a reflection about us? Is it a reflection about the show?
We seem to be leaning more towards gun than frock, I would say, Dave.
I think so. City of Death's probably the only frock in there, and even that's got a few punches.
Yeah. Thanks to Duggan.
Is it because we're all grown up now and we like to pretend that Doctor Who is a serious grown up thing, or are they just better stories, and when there's a bit more nastiness and violence and tension, the drama feels a bit amped up?
Oh, well, we could talk about this for an hour on its own, Dave. The whole gun and frock thing, and what's best, or why do we lean towards things. I think it's because if you're in a dangerous universe, or here on Earth with aliens coming to us, and those things are dangerous, then they should be shown as dangerous. You know, I know it's fun to have these romps and runarounds, and isn't this so jolly? And I think of something like Love and Monsters in New Who, and, you know, the Absorbaloff is very much a comedy thing, even though it's terrible and absorbing people. But I like to think that if a Dalek is trundling around, you know, driving through walls like it's a little tank, you know, blowing people away, that you show that, and you show that it's a real thing, and it's scary, and it's horrible. That's what it is. You know, to have all these concepts that are meant to be scary, but you don't show them being scary, or you don't show them being violent, it's kind of like pulling a punch. I think that's about the best way I can describe it. Yeah, it's like writers pulling punches, and I think, why are you pulling punches? This is a deadly thing. Show it being deadly. Otherwise, why are we doing it?
Yeah, look, I'm with you. I think there's a reason why so many of those Dalek stories are right up there in a lot of people's lists, certainly on mine, I think on yours. And that is because there's something a bit terrifying about, you know, one Dalek is enough to exterminate them all, and they're going to come through and, okay, this is a bit more serious, and I'm going to sit on the edge of my seat or clutch my pillow a little bit tighter, or, I mean, I'm not going to hide behind the couch, but, you know, that's the expression that people use. So I think that is another theme that we've seen in our list as well. So look, that was a lot of fun, but time is rapidly running out.
Gosh, that was quick.
It was, so time to pull another topic from Turlough's Hat of Rassilon.
Yes.
Ooh, a New Who topic next time.
Okay.
Top 5 New Who writers.
Oh, ooh. Okay.
So, listeners, we will be talking about top 5 New Who writers next time. Until then, I've been Dave.
And I've been Rob.
And we will make some more lists shortly.
Farewell.
Goodbye.